Hey everyone, this is Matt with Old Car Boot Camp with a little short thing here. My daily driver is a 2002 Grand Marquis by Mercury, and been driving it every day. Everything's doing all right, and came home on Friday and went to start it later in the day, and click, 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 click. Battery voltage is low. I just noticed that, and on the gauge. And so I was going to take the battery in to have it tested, and as I'm loosening battery cable clamps, when I went to loosen the positive, the entire clamp assembly rotated a little bit, which says that it was loose. And if we look at the terminal there, you see there's some corrosion accumulated on there. So I believe this battery is not bad. I mean, it might be weak because of the inferior electrical connections between the cable clamps and the posts, but I think before I take this in, I'm going to clean up those terminals, both the cables and the posts, hang a charger on it for a few hours and see what happens. I have a feeling I do not need a new battery. So the tip is every year or two, maybe every year, disconnect your battery cables and inspect the condition of the posts for corrosion, because corrosion, the negative's not too bad, but corrosion is equivalent to preventing current flow. So we'll see what happens. These are two tools that are quite useful, and any old car owner should have in his or her tools at the ready. This brush cleans out the insides of the battery terminals, cable terminals rather, and then this right here brushes and sort of descuzzes the posts on a top post battery. This does not have lead battery cable ends, so this won't be helpful here. This is a reamer, so you can match the taper of the lead end on the cable, and this is a scraper that kind of puts a surface or kind of unifies the taper of the battery posts, because sometimes they don't line up, and what you want is as much overlap contact as possible. So I'm going to clean this up, put a battery charger on this bad boy, and come back and we'll see what happens. And here's what they look like after scrubbing them with the scraper first to take any high spots down, and then hitting it with the brush. So these are both looking good. So I'm going to hang a charger on here and clean those cables in the meantime. Quick tip on connecting a battery charger to your car's battery. Once you plug it in, it's, at least the one I have, it's ready to start providing current. So leave it unplugged until you properly connect the alligator clips to the terminals. Plus is red. All right. Black is minus, negative. And I just kind of walk it on there a little bit just to cut into that lead a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to connect power. Let's do that. And what am I out here? Just making sure. So I've got 6 amp, 2 amp, and 6 volts. I don't want 6 volts. So it's 6 amp, 12 volts. Plug it in. And so the gauge clearly indicates that it's putting charge back into the battery, and it's at 6 amps per hour. So we're gonna let this thing cook for a while, not literally, hopefully, and I'll reconnect the cables, which I've cleaned out, and we should have ourselves money saved. Doing it yourself. Old Car Boot Camp. Stand by. Before we go outside, I'm going to point out I have this material KOPR copper shield by Thomas & Betts. This can is, man, 30 years old. But more importantly, what it is a highly conductive anti-corrosion surface compound, as you see there. So I'm going to put this on the battery post. It's basically like copper cheese whiz, as I would describe it. It's remarkably messy, and it seems to like get into the depths of your fingerprints, and it's there seemingly forever. Anyway, I'm going to put some on a tongue depressor and then use a broken off Q-tip to apply it to the surfaces, the mating surfaces. So that's going to prevent the corrosive crud buildup and also kind of fill in surface voids, I guess, on the posts. And since this stuff is really conductive, so it's made of essentially powdered copper, that'll keep the corrosion from forming again and also maximize the overlap of battery terminal clamp to battery post. So there. It's been a few hours since I connected the charger to the battery. It's resting at about 2 amps charging rate right now, and I know this charger is not that great, so while it's not zero, meaning the battery's not fully charged, I'm going to disconnect this and connect the battery cables. The can of copper shield that I just showed, the propellant inside of it is gone, so I have to get something to cut the can open and scoop out the stuff and just deal with that, but I'm not doing that today. So disconnecting something like this, do it in the opposite order you connected it. So the last thing I did was I plugged it in, so we're going to unplug it, and that gauge isn't even reading down to 0, even though it darn well should be 0. Then disconnect the battery jumper cables, alligator clips, and then we're going to reconnect the battery connectors, cable connectors to the battery. Do the positive first. So I'm going to set this thing down. I can't really do it with my phone in my hand. And then we're going to do that one. And then we're going to take the acid test and see if it runs. Alright, we're going to watch the instrument panel. Try to get the glare because the voltmeter is what I want to see. Key on. Battery voltage is still low. Huh. The battery may be just worn out. Let's see what happens. Nothing, honey. And the door locks just exercised themselves out of nowhere. Nope. Okay, well, so normally the voltmeter lives right in the middle of that span in the normal range there, the white bracket, and that ain't good. Nope. So looks like it's time for a trip to Tim's Auto Parts in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, one of the great auto parts stores, and gonna get a new battery, but I don't know if he's open on Sunday, so we'll see. I'll go tomorrow, or I'll go on Monday. So this is the incremental stuff. That's what we do. Oh, I'll also point out that the clamp type battery cable ends, the bolt or the nut that I was tightening down that kind of draws it together like a almost like a hose clamp, but they were mechanically bottomed out and the cable ends were still able to move on the posts, which sucks because I don't want to replace the battery cables and they don't give you any extra length to re-terminate it. So I'll have to give that some skull time. Maybe I'll get a piece of thin copper and I'll create a shim that goes around the battery post and is clamped by the battery cable clamp. And then that way I'll thicken up essentially thicken up the post and the bolt will not bottom out before it actually gets tight. So it's the reality of the old car boot camp. Driving old cars is a lot of fun, but you have to be a participant. Otherwise, you're going to be spending an awful lot of money paying some other mechanic to do work you know you can do, especially after you've had some lessons here at the boot camp. So, 93 degrees right now, about 70 degrees dew point. It's hot, miserable, rotten, and I think it's time to, I don't know, maybe go in a pool or grab an adult beverage and go in the pool or two. So stay warm, everybody. This is Matt with the Old Car Boot Camp, thanking you for watching this, and hopefully you're learning some interesting things, and at least getting a chuckle out of it now and then too. So, see ya. Be blessed.